Well, those reports were deeply disturbing. We have been in touch at multiple levels with the Israeli government. We want answers. We want to understand exactly what happened.
Let me just say the allegations are troubling. They're disturbing. We take them very seriously, and we're continuing to press the government of Israel for more information.
I've seen those reports, and we are inquiring about it with the government of Israel.
Will the U.S. press the Israelis to find out more about this issue?
That's exactly what we're doing.
Hello, so not a very good news coming from Gaza, I'm afraid. As I speak, more and more dead bodies are being recovered. Between Al-Shifa Hospital and Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunus camp, we are talking about around 1,000 dead bodies. 1,000 dead bodies being recovered from two different mass graves. Just imagine the outrage you would have expected if these mass graves would have been discovered anywhere other than Palestine, anywhere. That's how cheap Palestinian lives have become for the terrorist nations of the world, or terror sympathizing nations of the world. Calling them civilized would be really injustice to the word civilized. These are the people who were brutally murdered. Some of them even buried alive, had their hands tied behind their back. Some of them were with their medical equipment in their hands, so clearly indicating that they were buried alive. Then they were taken. Just imagine how brutal and mentally depraved you have to be to carry out these kind of mass slaughter. That first, they were brutally killed, they were buried alive, their organs stolen. We know Israel is very notorious for stealing organs by killing innocent Palestinians. But now we have more and more evidence of that crime. Now you know what happened, what kind of atrocities took place during that long siege of these two hospitals. And we know Israelis' hatred for medical professionals. Because, as I said in one of my earlier videos, that the whole intention of Israelis was not to free their hostages or target Hamas fighters. Their aim has been to completely destroy Gaza. So they've targeted medical institutions, they've targeted educational institutions, they've targeted libraries, they've targeted mosques, they've targeted churches. So the idea is to completely destroy the civilization, Palestinian civilization, from the earth. That's war crimes. That's crimes against humanity. That's flagrant violation of international humanitarian laws if they exist. I know United Nations have asked for independent inquiry, but shame on you, United Nations. Disband the United Nations. United Nations have failed in its objectives. 700 people buried alive, most of them, in Khan Yunus camp. In Nasser Hospital, 300 in Al-Shifa Hospital. Women, men, elderly, medical professionals. And then these morons representing the so-called civilized nations, America and United Kingdom, have this to say. On 22nd of April, State Department spokesperson was asked about it. His answer was, it's troubling, but we are waiting for more details.
On Saturday, Palestinian civil defense crews have uncovered a mass grave with 180 people, including women, men, and children, that Israel had basically killed those people. That's what they're saying. Are you aware of the report, and do you have any comment on it?
I've seen those reports, and we are inquiring about it with the government of Israel.
Will the U.S. press the Israelis to find out more about this issue?
That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
On 23rd, exactly the same sentence.
As you must have seen the reports about mass graves containing hundreds of bodies around Al-Shifa. UN chief said he was horrified by these reports. I'm wondering if U.S. has a comment on this and whether you guys have raised this with the Israeli government.
We have seen those reports, and the reports are incredibly troubling, and we're inquiring on this with the government of Israel.
Specifically on that?
Correct. I don't have any specific information to offer, insight into what this is or isn't. I don't have a sense of that from up here, but we are inquiring about this with the government of Israel.
Do you know who you reached out to? Who? Is it?
I'm not going to speak to the specifics, but it should be no surprise to you that we actively engaged with the government of Israel at all levels, often many times, multiple times a day, at all hours.
On 24th, he repeated the same line. Third day in a row, State Department spokesperson repeats the same lie. Same standard line. But he adds one more line, which is very, very disturbing. I mean, they seem to be in competition with themselves as to how low we can stoop every day. So on 24th, he says, oh, we're still waiting for the answer. We have contacted Israeli government. We are waiting for more details. But in the meantime, IDF have spoken, which is Israeli terrorist army, have spoken, and they have given indication that perhaps, these people were there. Israelis did not kill them. They were digging up those graves to find the hostages. And they stumbled upon these mass graves, which already existed then. And when they couldn't find the hostages, they buried them again.
Okay, and if I could just ask, Palestinian authorities reported finding hundreds of bodies in mass graves at a hospital in Khan Yunis this week after it was abandoned by Israeli troops. I know you said earlier this week that the reports are troubling, but will the U.S. call for an independent inquiry?
So first, let me just say the allegations are troubling. They're disturbing. We take them very seriously, and we're continuing to press the government of Israel for more information. It's our understanding the IDF has spoken to some of this publicly. They've stated that in search of Israeli hostages, they have uncovered graves in the area where Palestinians had previously been buried, and after determining that no hostages were there, these graves were recovered. Obviously, the IDF can speak to specifically about their operations in the region, but we're also continuing to press the government of Israel for more information onto what this is and what the circumstances are here.
So what this idiot is saying, this Vedant Patel, what he's saying, that these people, 700 people, they were just feeling bored in Gaza, so they decided to just kill themselves. So they ask each other to tie their hands in their back, and then they kill themselves. Then once they killed themselves, they forgot to take their organs out, so they woke up again from their death, and they removed their organs, and then they again went into their graves. They really think that people are fools? They think that people are as fool as their core voters are? With due respect to my friends in America, people who vote for these warmongers, people who vote for these terrorists, clearly you don't have any brain. You are fools. You are intellectually bankrupt. So this is what he had to say on the 24th. Now, on the 24th, the same question was posed, which is yesterday, to the White House spokesperson, to the National Security Advisor, Jack Sullivan. Same line. It's disturbing. We have asked Israelis to give some answers on that. That's it. That's it. When it comes to the mass graves of Palestinians, when it comes to atrocities against Palestinians, everything must run with snail pace. Investigation after investigation after investigation. And who are we asking to investigate? The criminal themselves. In this case, the terrorist regime. A terrorist regime which has killed more than 1,000 people in 2 instances at the medical facilities. We are asking, America is asking, the same terrorist regime to investigate themselves.
Reports that we've seen of mass graves at 2 medical facilities in Gaza that they destroyed. Is it your current view that they are living up to those commitments?
Well, those reports were deeply disturbing. We have been in touch at multiple levels with the Israeli government. We want answers. We want to understand exactly what happened. You've seen some public commentary from the IDF on that, but we want to know the specifics of what the circumstances of this were, and we want to see this thoroughly and transparently investigated so that the whole world can have a comprehensive answer, and we, the United States, can as well. I can't speak beyond that because, of course, we're in the early days of fully understanding what happened.
And that's exactly the lie that was peddled in the British Parliament by Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden yesterday. The question was asked to him by the Deputy Leader of SNP, Mary Black. He was perturbed by the fact that how dare Mary Black compare the development in Gaza with that of Ukraine.
2 years ago, when mass graves were discovered in Ukraine, this House united in condemnation and rightly treated these graves as evidence of war crimes which Russia must be made to answer for. Yesterday, Palestinian officials uncovered 2 mass graves outside the bombed hospitals in Gaza. These graves also constitute as a war crime, don't they?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, of course, we would expect the democratic government of Israel to investigate any allegations of misconduct, and that's exactly what they do, and it's exactly what the Foreign Secretary and the Prime Minister urge them to do. But I find it quite extraordinary that she seeks to draw parallels between the legitimate war of self-defence of Israel and the conduct of Russia.
Murray Black.
300 bodies, including the elderly and the injured, some of which had been stripped naked, mutilated, with their hands tied behind their backs. The UK's own arms policy states that if there is even a risk that war crimes may be taking place, then that is reason enough to halt the sale of arms. Given all we know, why then is the Prime Minister yet to do so?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, we continue to urge the Israeli government to investigate any allegations of misconduct. The difference, though, is that we can trust the Israeli government, a democratically elected government, to properly investigate those things. And of course, we keep the advice under review. The Foreign Secretary has recently made it clear that he has conducted a determination and has not changed his advice regarding export licenses, and I think that is the correct decision.
He wasn't perturbed by the fact that, 700 bodies in one instance and 300 bodies in another instance have been discovered from 2 mass graves. Not one word, at least in America's case, both the State Department spokesperson and the National Security Advisor, however, fake they are, at least they use the word that they are disturbed by the developments. This idiot, Oliver Dowden, he had no remorse. He lost his temper because Mary Black drew a parallel between what is happening in Gaza with that of Ukraine. Just imagine, we have become so helpless as journalists. Imagine how helpless that population is in Gaza. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you.